Today, I'm joined by Head of Digital Asset Execution, Eric Rose, to discuss stablecoins, digital assets designed to mirror the US dollar. He'll explain how they're backed, why instant global transfers matters, and how new regulations like the Genius Act are shaping the future of digital finance. So thank you for joining us, Eric.
Absolutely. A pleasure to join.
Eric, in a previous conversation, you have described stablecoins as a digital twin of the US dollar. Can you explain how they're backed and why that one-to-one relationship with assets like Treasuries is so critical for trust and adoption?
Absolutely. I think it's, without getting too far off track, I think it's important to understand a little bit of the history of stablecoins, which will lead us to where we are today. In the early days of digital asset trading, there were no dollar equivalent stablecoins, and everything traded against Bitcoin as a pair. So the digital asset ecosystem had no store of value for holding dollar equivalents. And the first one that came to market was a company called Tether with USDT. And that stablecoin, the first of its kind, it really greased the wheels of trading within the digital asset ecosystem. And so Tether, now being the largest stablecoin out there, has competition from Circle's product, USDC, and what we'll see is eventually a number of other stablecoins coming. And the core thesis of the stablecoin is that it is backed by holdings that, per its name, are stable. And I think that, in order for people to trust the digital asset dollar, they need to know what's underneath it and what is the value that is composing that dollar. So, what we look for in this kind of trust ecosystem that we're building is full backing of one-to-one. And I think as we talk about regulation, you'll see that that is the core tenet of building trust in the ecosystem, that these stable coins do actually represent value. So, what is a stable coin actually comprised of? Well, typically for US regulatory stable coins, they'll be backed by short-term money market instruments and treasuries, and they will be audited and they will be publicly available. And that way, when an issuer creates one USDC, in this case, they have a dollar that they've taken in, and then they go buy a dollar of treasuries. If somebody redeems a dollar of USDC, then Circle will go and sell a dollar worth of treasuries. So having the core holding of liquid, visible assets is really the underpinning of trust within the ecosystem.
And one of the biggest advantages you mentioned is the ability to move value instantly across borders compared to traditional systems like wires or ACH. What practical benefits does this bring for investors, businesses, and even individuals?
Yeah, it's a great question, because we've heard a lot about stable coins and what the current regulation, payment stable coins, is really focusing on is really just the efficiency of money movement. When we think about the traditional banking system, there are guardrails in place, some of them by design, to limit the time for money movement. I think we've all experienced something where we send a wire and it takes anywhere between 1 and 3 days to clear. Um, Again, that's a lot of time, especially in the financial world. So, bringing that peer-to-peer connectivity of instantaneous money movement is really will help mostly businesses, but obviously also retail investors and a number of other areas. It's really critical. I think when you look at some of the existing banking infrastructure, in addition to the ACH wire system that we have, many banks will batch their wires. So you want to move money at 10 a.m. That money might not even leave your account well, it'll leave your account immediately, but it may not actually get to its destination until 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. When said bank has sent out their batch of wires. So even just removing and lowering that inefficiency down to instantaneous, you'll see lots of benefits for that, from especially within the business community, moving money. And then you also have the cross-border aspect, which is being able to move money globally, without being subject to banks being closed. So certainly overnight in the US, or in maybe midday in Asia, but in terms of being able to actually move currency globally 24/7, is really, one of the more interesting features, in addition to weekends, right? And that's something where you want to make a payment to somebody on a weekend, now you can do so. So it's certainly both speed, it's cost efficient, and it's really just overall better for the industry.
We're now seeing regulations such as the Genius Act begin to shape the stablecoin market. How does this regulatory clarity impact trust, and what do you expect the stablecoin landscape to look like in the coming years?
Um, Certainly, a lot of things will be evolving over time specific to stablecoins. I think the Genius Act is certainly a step in the right direction for building trust. I think, without getting too winded, we do need to take a step back to the original stablecoin Tether. There were many concerns about whether or not Tether held the underlying assets. And this was in the early days, call it 5, 6 years ago, when people really weren't sure because they weren't required to publish their financials and they weren't required to audit. And so you were just trusting that Tether held the assets underneath to back their stablecoin one to one. And there were many in the community who didn't believe they had the assets. Now, that's all in the past and it's a separate conversation. But I think what the core of that is, how do we know what is underneath a stablecoin? And the Genius Act helps to move us further into that trust level. So going forward, stablecoins in the US to start will only be able to be issued by stablecoin issuers that have gone through the process of being approved to do so. And there are rules around that, how they can issue them, in terms of how they can hold them, what they can do, how quickly they have to be able to redeem. But the core of it is really they have to hold a specific asset underneath, being liquid treasuries and short-term money market instruments, and they have to be audited. So, we will be able to see, hey, for stablecoin X, there is $1 billion of stablecoin X outstanding. We will be able to see that they hold $1 billion of treasury underneath that, and I think that's really core to the trust, because that has been a factor in the past. But it's also really about having the proper oversight infrastructure to make sure that investors and payment services and banks and whoever are using stablecoins have really full transparency and full trust of what they're looking for, and what should be there. So, when we think about that, it's okay. Now, who's going to be issuing stablecoins? The current two largest issuers, as I spoke to before, are Tether and Circle. But we're seeing a whole new slew of stablecoins come to market, even now, because I think that there is a core thesis that there are going to be multiple stablecoins, and I don't think there is really going to be a market for 50 or 100 stablecoins, because again, they have to be interoperable in order. And if JP Morgan coin and Bank America coin are two separate coins, then I can't really use them. I can only use one in each ecosystem. So I think, we'll see how the system evolves, and really who ends up being the liquid and the issuers of choice by investors, and the market in general. But in terms of, the thesis that this provides a level of transparency that has not existed, and really gives everybody the comfort that this ecosystem is developing in a mature way and is being regulated with intelligent legislation.
Well, thank you very much for your insights once again, Eric.
Happy to provide them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. For more videos like this, please do like and subscribe.